Hi, and today I am bringing you a review and promotion for the new She Knows Her Reputation series. So if you don't know what this is all about, basically it's a girl called Lynn and her life and how she uses her female intuition and her reputation, whether it's for good or for evil. So this is a book by Christopher Blythe Bartram. In his books, he uses some of accounts of his own life. He uses some accounts of his friends and school sweethearts to portray a character and book series that delves into the psyche of not only a man but also a woman, and whether using her reputation, her good looks, is a good or a bad thing. So the three books. The first one is called She Knows. The second one is She Knows Her Intuition. And the third one is Her Reputation. As you will see behind me, we have She Knows Book 2, dedicated to Donna C, aka Raven, which is a character that features in books 2 and 3. And the author of the book is Christopher Blythe Bartram. We have book 3 also, which has literally just been out a couple of weeks. Again, Her Reputation, She Knows, a very good book as well. So in both of these books, a character called Raven appears. She's not in the first one, but she is in the second one. So we're going to look at the first book first. So the first one, it basically says that there's nothing more dangerous than a woman that knows she is gorgeous. So basically, a woman's power lies within her beauty and how she conveys it, whether she uses it for good or bad. Is up to her, but whether she knows she's doing it is another matter, or the people around her. Basically, it's also believed that people do not know they're good or evil, and what they're doing is correct to other people. How their perspective to people is deemed good or bad. So basically, how she comes off thinking she's doing good may not necessarily be viewed by somebody else as good. If a woman is smart enough to know her power, she can wield it and automatically assume she would not be aware that she is evil, when the evil is lurking inside of all of us. So it's a very psychological kind of thriller. It does have suspense, and it's a really good read. The second book in the series is where a character called Raven features. It's called Her Reputation, Her Intuition. Sorry, Her Intuition. And this book basically gives the character Raven a base for storyline. It also features Lynn again, who is the central character who the book features around. Raven is like a sub-character where we feature parts of her life, her childhood, and basically get to know Raven in more depth. Also, her characteristics and her relationship with Chris in the book is also a big factor of the storyline in book 2. It says, if you're around a woman long enough, you're likely to encounter one of the many weapons in her arsenal. If you ever find you're against it, you will learn quickly it's quite effective when used correctly. So a woman's power, like her intuition, her femininity, is a really strong thing to write a book about. It also goes into a woman's psyche, to recognize whether she knows she's doing bad things with her femininity and her female intuition, or whether it's just how people pursue and look at her. Lynn continues her journey into New York City, where she tries to attempt to draw attention from her. She tries to stay ahead and out of sight, but she's a criminal mastermind, doesn't want money. So it's all about the good and the bad, and whether good or bad is perceived differently. So it's a really good read, and I do love the character Raven. The character Raven is based on a girl from his childhood. I won't say any more about that, but you can probably guess who she is. It's a really good book. The third book is also a really gritty, and it's got so many twists and turns in it, and it does keep you wanting more. It says, reputation is everything. We all want people to think of us in a certain way. We want them to recognize us for who we are and what we do, because it matters to us. Of course it does. It matters for your children to be able to look up to you. It matters for business to hire you, and so much more. You should be confident, and people will remember you when you are gone. So what kind of imprint are you going to leave behind? So are you going to leave a good imprint? Are you going to leave a bad imprint? The book has loads of twisted turns, and the character Raven and Lynn both feature in this book again. And there is a big twist at the end, but you really need to read, if possible, books 2 and possibly book 1 as well to understand the storyline, as it does kind of fluidly follow from book to book. You could probably read 2 and 3 without reading book 1, but I would suggest reading the entire series as it is a really good read. So these are the 3 books. The author Christopher Blythe Bartram is selling these currently on Amazon. If you want to know more about him, he does have a YouTube channel which will pop in the description. So if you want to follow up on more contents from these books, you can do. If you want to check out as well, you can check these out on Amazon. So these are the 3 books. If you like my display as well, these are the posters that would be featured for the books as well. I don't actually have a favorite. I think they're all very good. So please read these. They are really good. And thank you for watching this video. Bye.
Hey everyone, it's me again. It's been a long time since I did this, or one of these. It's because it was almost over a year ago since I last published the last book. Coming along really well. I wanted to give a big shout out to Megan Brenner. She has taken over as editor for this particular book to help me out, and she's been... with her help, it's gone a lot faster than I ever hoped it would. Her reputation. As you saw, Themidnightraven did her review of my books perfectly in March 25th, 24th. At least that's when the video was published. It's not currently on her channel right now, or at least it's not live, but I still gave her full credit at the bottom. So by all means, go ahead and check out her channel because she did a great review and I appreciated it. So, instead of parroting her words, I thought I'd let her speak for herself, and she did it really justice. So, on to book 4. It is the conclusion of the series. It is the final book of the She Knows series. I really don't want to give too much away because there is a lot of surprises. Besides the chapter that I've already read, I'm going to read one more chapter because it's funny, and it's going to be the audition for used as the audition for the audio book. It's chapter 4.2, and it was one of the more fun chapters that I had writing. It's silly. It's girl fun basically. I had fun writing girl talk. So let me give you an idea. The main reason why it's best to follow the series in order is because the book 1 lies to you. And if you don't go ahead and read book 1, every other book has the perception of the lie that was told in book 1. And if you don't read it, you'll be taken into the lie. And each subsequent book has a lie that you would only know about if you know and read the book. And it completes the understanding that you're going to have of the entire series. There's little minute details that you know are not true because it's the exact opposite that happened in the previous book. And it's the main idea is that I wanted Lynn to manipulate your perception of the events that happened, as in she's telling you the first time. So if you go ahead and pick up book 2, she's telling you what happened in her perspective, which is the quote unquote mistruth. And then you'll be taken in on that lie, and you won't know about it until either the end or until you get to book 1. So with book 4, it picks up the events at the end of Reputation, where Wilkinson is left with a horrible choice to make. That is, he has to choose whether to save, if he can, 2 people that are in front of him laying on the ground critically wounded. It's possible that he could save one or the other, or he could have chosen to go after his target, but he couldn't save or do all of them. The choice is to save the character Chris. If he saves him, he'll be able to go after Lynn because Chris knows the truth. But Wilkinson doesn't know what he knows. Wilkinson's never met him before. He has no idea who he is or what he's about. Or he could go ahead and save the woman that he desperately loves and adores, and he's been missing for ages. They didn't know what happened, and she was presumed dead. Suddenly, she's there in front of him with a gunshot to the hip, and she's bleeding out. So he could go ahead and save her, but he doesn't know what she's done previously, and the events and actions that she's done could ultimately leave her in prison, or if not worse, of a capital crime. Because the law tends to treat police officer harsher if they go ahead and break the laws, because they're supposed to uphold the laws and they know the laws. So the justice system takes a harsher view on that kind of thing. So with book 4, it does take a dark turn, a really dark phase. It's another aspect of the woman's psyche. It picks up Lynn's story. It basically picks up where both sides have come to a sort of truce. They've decided to leave each other alone because Wilkinson has basically, now that he has got the woman back in front of him and he's going to try and save her, as we know from the chat that I read before, that he has no interest in going after Lynn anymore, and now he's got the woman that he wants. But he doesn't know the truth of Sarah's actions. Eventually, actions may dictate that he has no choice. He has to go after her, or he comes up with a choice whether either he has to go after her or let someone else do it, but that may allow that other person to find out the truth about Sarah, or that he doesn't know about. He goes off and asks her. And then Lynn is settling in her new area. She moved. She moved to an area of the country. The reason why I picked this particular city that she's hiding out in is because the majority of the people that I asked in the survey, I actually went onto a website and asked about 150, 160 people in America. I asked them a simple question: do you think Washington, D.C. is a state? Yes or no? And surprisingly, the answer was the majority of people think that Washington, D.C. is a state, and it's not. So it was that allowed me to, okay, I can use this, because the majority of people who think this is what allows her to get away in plain sight, kind of thing. Basically, it's the same trick as Sarah pulled off before, where her car was left abandoned after she went after Lynn in front of that house explosion, and she disappeared, but everyone presumed she was dead because they couldn't find anything. They assumed that she went inside the house and she got caught up in the house fire, and her remains couldn't be found because there was nothing left pretty much of the house. Um, but everyone just assumes that's what happens. They don't know. Uh, and it's the same situation with the question I asked. Everyone just assumes, they don't know for sure. So again, I use that in the book, and it really brings home the fact that women can be pretty smart, and she uses that against people. So the chapter that I'm going to be using rating is 4.2. Again, if you don't know, I don't have the number between 4 and 6. I never use, or I don't like to use. Um, it sounds ironic, or it sounds stupid, but the main reason why I don't is because originally my mother and I got the fear of odd numbers. Like I really don't like odd numbers at all. My mother's fear of odd numbers was number 9. She didn't like 5 either, but she absolutely hated number 9. And I'm the reverse. I hate number 5, and I don't like number 9 either. But 5 is worse. Um, Unfortunately, her fear came to true. She passed away when she was 69. But I really don't like 5. It's a really unlucky number. So I try to change it to a 4.2. Um, but psychologically in my books, how I used it is because I'm trying to get you to understand the way that you know things, the way that you think things are correct or how they should be, is because they've been instilled into your mind and memory. How they are told to you is how you've been believed to think they are correct. So if someone comes out and starts changing the order and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.2, you'll suddenly think that, hey, that's not correct. What's going on here? But I have been doing this since since my very first book from the Dark Knight series. So when I suddenly stopped doing that in my book series, suddenly people are asking me, where's chapter 4.2? And suddenly that becomes the not normal, and I prove my psychological point that only what you have been taught since you've been grown up is considered correct. It may not actually be the correct thing or the right order. Just like when women were forbidden for wearing bikinis or showing most of the body on the beach, they had to wear full body dresses like you saw in the 40s, 30s. If they wore today if women wore on the beach what they wore today, and if they wore that in the 1930s, 1940s, they would have been shown. They would have gotten into trouble. But because it's happened more often, people are more used to it, more accepting. It's now considered the normal, and it's only because people have gotten used to it, not because anything has changed. Women have still looked the same since they did in the 1930s. They still have their fabulous looking bodies. They still look great in them. The bikinis just showed more skin, and that was considered scandalous back then. You weren't supposed to do that. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and read the chapter 4.2. Yes, by the way, one thing before I start. The book, like Her Reputation, had a accompanying soundtrack album, which is what's been playing in the background currently. Throughout the book, I named the songs and the authors. At the very start of the book, there is a link to the playlist, and you can search the name on Spotify. Spotify is free to use. Feel free to play the music as you're reading the book. I find that it actually adds to the experience of the story. Because people have memory associations, they associate sounds and stuff to things. So I try to associate the music that I want you to think of in the story, so you can understand what I was feeling as I was feeling. And yeah, once again, I incorporated events that happened to me. I mixed fiction with reality a little bit. So um, experiences that I came across are inside of the book, but not all the way. Um, One of these experiences that I came across is in this particular chapter. The character Megan is back, and one of the stories that she gets from being at work, it actually happened. So I'll explain a little bit more to you after I read it. So I'm gonna pause the music. I'm gonna have the song in the background that is listed in the um, that's listed in this chapter. So, 1 second. And it's going to keep repeating. Alright, chapter 4.2. Over in the neighborhood of Friendship Heights, over on Garrison Street, was an apartment, 3 bedrooms with a decent enough kitchen. It wasn't too far from the Cheesecake Factory, which suited the people in the area just fine. As when the wind was right, you could smell the nice aroma of cheese clear across town. On this particular night, the TV was on, with Lynn sitting in the middle of the couch, slouched with her pizza box laid open to the side. She was wearing monochrome dream embroidered pajama set. Lynn was extremely comfortable and relaxed, as she was watching whatever was on television. One of the bedroom doors opened up and Raven came out, her hair still black as ever and much of her skin never recovered and stayed blackened. She came out almost completely naked except for the black strappy lace Brazilian knickers with a matching bra. And she came over to the couch and sat down next to Lynn. "You save any for me?" Raven asked as she picked up the pizza box. "Oh, sorry. Sorry, do you want some before he leaves?" Raven leaned over to kiss Lynn briefly. Lynn commented. "He tastes good, but nah, I'm good. Too comfortable. You can have him. I'll get the next one," Lynn smiled. It was then a white man about 5'9" in his early 20s with a short crop head came out from the same room Raven had come from. He finished redressing himself as he placed the Domino's hat back on his head. His bag was over his shoulder already, which sat on top of his blue work shirt. "Remember, if you're late again, no tip," Raven winked. 30 minutes or less," she smiled flirtatiously at him, which made him stumble and trip over himself, which made Lynn laugh. "Oh, man, you always get men to fall for you. You must tell me your secret one day," Lynn joked. She smiled at him too as he got up and made his way out without trying to trip over his tongue again. "You think our next pizza will be on time?" Raven joked. "You know, you don't have to do that. It isn't like we're short on money," Lynn said as she continued to watch TV. "The second box is next to the microwave," she said, waving a finger over her head, right shoulder aimlessly. "You know what they say, if you don't use your skills, you lose them. Besides, why pay when you don't have to?" Raven reasoned, as she found the pizza box. She got a paper plate from a cupboard and placed 3 slices of pepperoni pizza onto the plate and placed it in the microwave. "What surprises me is that he seems to have kept it a secret from the others. Otherwise, I'm sure all our deliveries would be prompt." Raven chuckled to herself at the thought. "Or you're not as good as you think," Lynn threw out the mocking question. "Oh, bitch, please. You know I blew his mind," Raven countered. "I know that. I tasted it. I'm saying you may not be as good in bed as you think." "Why else would he not tell anyone?" Lynn mocked, deliberately misinterpreting what Raven had meant, trying to continue to tease it. It was then that the microwave dinged, as Raven had filled her a cup with Coca-Cola, Raven's favorite. "I've had no bad reviews so far," Raven retorted. She picked up the plate, and with her drink, she went over to the couch and sat down with Lynn. "It's not like any guy would know bad sex from good. To them, any sex is going to be good," Lynn reasoned. "You fallen too in to evaluate my skills?" Raven joked. "Not on a full stomach, sweetie," Lynn said, smiling, as they both laughed. "I'm still getting used to that new tattoo of yours." Lynn was referring to the tattoo on Raven's left arm. Raven had always liked the country France, so the first chance she took a trip down to New Orleans, French sector. So to always have a reminder of her time and of France, she got a tattoo done at the Electric Ladyland tattoo shop over on the Frenchman Street. It was the perfect time for the avid fan of everything France. Raven had picked a Gothic-style tattoo of the Tower de Eiffel, with the words wrapped around it saying Jamais à l'avance, à la France. It was made to look like a coat of arms. It was a black and white tattoo except for just a hint of pink in the lettering. I wanted to get an entire sleeve done, but the artist suggested as it was my first, I should go easy. Then if I decided after, we could talk about getting the sleeve, Raven explained. But I love it, she said with a smile. She looked at it fondly. The women continued to enjoy their pizza while enjoying the movie that was on the TV, Pitch Perfect 3, directed by Trisha Sy, that came out in December 2017. Halfway through, by which time Raven started to get cold, she retrieved a throw blanket from one of the other chairs. They heard the sound of keys being inserted to the front door, which opened to allow which opened to allow in the third tenant. As the door opened to reveal a tired Megan, looking very shattered from working a hard shift at MedStar Washington Hospital, over on K Street. Megan smiled at them, although somewhat envious at how comfortable they looked. Closing the door behind her, she dumped her stuff on the ground and started stripping off as she headed off to her room to immediately get into her sweats. She soon exited wearing her grey toweling joggers with a white cropped t-shirt cut short under the bust. Pizza? Who paid? Megan asked. Raven raised her hand. Thanks, Raven, Megan responded. As she went to the box next to the microwave. Did he fall? Megan asked. Lynn laughed out loud. Yep, girl still got it. Raven jabbed Lynn's right shoulder in response as Lynn jabbed her back in retaliation. After repeating the steps Raven had taken, except Megan elected Sprite, joining them sitting on the love seat as she put up her feet. Was it bad today? Lynn asked. No more than usual. Idiot got a beer bottle stuck in his butt. Megan sighed, reliving the memory in her mind. This nearly made Lynn and Raven blow their drinks out their nose in laughter. What? How is that even possible? How can you say that in such a matter-of-fact tone? Drunk Idiot was double-fisting at a college frat party. They were mooning teachers out of the window as they passed until the dean was seen coming. Idiot forgot to pull up his pants. He also forgot he left one of his beer bottles on the chair. It was using to stand on to be able to bend over and reach out. He jumped down and sat down too fast, and then, bottle went straight in. Yep, that's the true story. Ha! Bet that was his first anal experience, Lynn equipped. It was messy. Some of the glass broke. Plus, he ripped open his ass. Doctor had to stitch him up after x-raying him. Guess who was the one who was holding the dish for the doctor to place the broken glass? Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Raven sympathized. It's fine. Nurse Skank got the chronic diarrhea patient. Up to the elbows with bedpans. Megan smiled savagely. Anything exciting happen here? Megan asked. When are they due? Not really. I stayed in and thought it best I stay extra low profile today. Pirate. I haven't received word yet that they left. It shouldn't take them long, though, unless they stop on the way. So I'd say that we'd be ready for them around 10 or 11. I told them to come late so as to avoid being seen by as few people as possible, and less traffic. Oh, Raven's Son is on, Lynn mocked again, as she turned up the volume as the song and the movie started playing. Cheap Thrills by the Bellas. Back over on Prince Street in New York City, Lola and Lorraine, followed by Anne, who had started to help finish tidying up, and the final touches needed done before they set off. Lola had done 3 separate walkthroughs just to make sure everything was in its respective place. She had placed several big bags near the front counter for Lorraine and Anne to start loading into their car. except for one metal case that had their favorite poker set inside, and another metal case that secured the supply of nail polishes that would be their poker chips and final prize. After scrutinizing everything Lola could, she finally decided the shop could not be left any cleaner and was ready as it is. She made sure she was the last to leave and locked the door up to Credo's. Everyone sure they have everything? No stops needed to retrieve forgotten items? Lynn asked, running off her mental checklist. Nope, anything I find I've forgotten, I can buy there, Anne stated. She had already claimed the shotgun seat. Lorraine was in the back passenger side seat as they were planning to take Lola's car. She decided to drive. After they had all settled in and was all buckled up, Lola started up the car engine. Off we go, Lola stated. Anne already had the car stereo on, playing the tune, Riches by Daughter. Watching them as they pulled away, unknown to any of the women, a shadowy figure around the corner in the alleyway picked up the remote receiver. They checked the signal was being received and then secured it back into the jacket pocket. They turned and headed away down the alley and away before anyone would notice they were there. That's the end of chapter 4.2. What's going to happen? Who knows? Well, you will if you pick up the book on the 24th. And it's going to be on Kindle, so there is going to be an ebook. And eventually, I don't know yet, but there will be an audiobook. I haven't got a response yet, but I'm hoping this same producer will do this last book. But granted, it's been a while between the third and the last book, so she may be on to other things. So yeah, this is the final book. There is going to be an extra secret for everyone who buys the book, who reads the story, that I am not going to say anything about. But there is going to be a secret at the end, kind of like an Easter egg. It's not even listed in the contents. It's going to be like, ta-da. I guess it's not going to be that much of a surprise now since I've mentioned it on the video, but it's, hope by the time you've seen this and the time you put the book, you've probably forgotten about it. But, hey, that's all it is. This is her last promo video for the Shino series, book for her revenge.